Hi, just thought to talk about CAE exam. Um, I started a new course yesterday in one of the schools where I work, and there were I think about four. I think there were four students there, and right at the beginning of the course, I just wanted to ask them, what does it take to pass CAE? What does it take to pass this exam? Um, Another question I asked, have you already passed FCE? Only one of them had. So I said, but why don't you want to do FCE first? And they sort of, I don't know. Oh, I want to do this one. And so we talked about, of course, CA is much higher level, and therefore it's much harder to pass it. I didn't want to put them off, but of course I wanted to be honest with them and tell them a little bit what's necessary to pass. And I wrote on the board the word vocabulary. Vocabulary. To pass CAE we need vocabulary. And it's just a continual process of learning vocabulary, learning and learning. Without vocabulary, we can't understand the questions in the exam. We can't understand the reading or the listening. So we need vocabulary. We talked about it. Things like idioms, phrasal verbs, slang, strong adjectives, very important, and generally higher level of vocabulary. So I gave the example, instead of green, if something was green, could say it was emerald or emerald green. Instead of a job, it's an occupation or profession. Looking for synonyms, using higher level words, higher level synonyms. So yes, everybody knows green and job, but what about synonyms? And this came up later on. We tried a practice test, and somebody asked me, well, how do I know? No, they complained that the vocabulary in the question was different to what was in the actual text. And I said, yeah, it will be different. It has to be different. It won't be that easy where you can just scan the text looking for words from the question. You can't. So we need to know synonyms. Another point that came up in this practice was collocations. There was an example with the word solution of, somebody said, but it should be solution to a problem or solution for a problem. So this is what we learned in the first lesson, really, and doing the exercises in the practice test really gave credibility to my initial point about the vocabulary being the most important thing, really. So I'm interested to know if you've done CAE, if you've passed it, what was necessary to pass. Also at the beginning I asked each student in turn, are you willing to eat, sleep, breathe, eat, sleep and breathe, really, English during this time, during this process? And some of them were not so keen on this idea. But I said, you need to do it. You need to, when you wake up in the morning, you're listening to English radio or music. When you're having breakfast, you're watching English TV or reading an English newspaper. When you're on the bus, you're reading a book in English. Then when you're at work, yes, you're doing things at work, but maybe listening to English in the background somehow. During lunch break or when you go jogging, you're listening to an English podcast, maybe English Banana podcast, or any English language podcast. Uh, you go home or you go out in the evening, maybe you go and watch a film in English. And all the time, what you're learning is consolidated because you learn one word, maybe with a flashcard, and then the next day you see it in a book that you're reading, or you hear it on the radio, or both. And that's how it goes in several times, repeated, consolidated. And I just said to them, you're not going to pass this exam by coming here twice a week and opening the book, then closing it at the end of the lesson and forgetting about it. I think some people do believe that they can do that. Maybe these students weren't like that. They didn't believe it. But we must eat, breathe, sleep English. We need to dream when we go to bed. Dream in English. So to pass CAE, if you want to pass CAE, if that's your goal, then you've got to get into training. It's like climbing a mountain. I gave an example. If I want to climb Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa, maybe it would be possible for me to do it, probably, with the right training. But I wouldn't just go there, fly there, find it, okay, I'm here, and start climbing. But I would need to train, and that's what they're doing. So that's my thoughts about how to pass CAE. If you have any questions or comments, then or tell me about your experience, leave a message or leave a note. So bye for now.